What time it is? Your boy Czar, all rights reserved. Now, as promised, I'm definitely going to do my video on the next suspect that was apprehended, as there is a fourth that is yet at large. But quickly, we got to talk about something that I talked about a little bit ago. And excuse me as I get other things ready, as I am going to be editing and getting stuff done. And you know, I keep it authentic. I keep the cameras rolling, even when I'm on the move and stuff. Because in a little while, I'm going to start looking into my channel what the heck? I'm going to start looking into my channel that's going to open up and show you guys a little bit more of me and what I got going on. And in motion, you're going to get to ride with me in different things. The bump in the ride is basically I need to get my rotors smoothed out. I more than likely know what's going on with my car at most times, being that I had to work on it so much, and that's like a family trait. But, you know, let's get into it. Now, ultimately, the reason I'm here is because I watched the Star Report this morning, and it brought up some things in my mind that I read, but I didn't really think about. And it revolves around a lot I was doing here, and it has to do with the case dealing with Charlamagne Da God. And what I was looking at was the fact that how did Jessica and her friend get upstairs? You know, when I first read it, it didn't really calculate because I presumed it was a location downstairs they were carried to. The rooms were downstairs. I never thought of it. If it was upstairs, that really wouldn't make sense, because what you're telling me is that somehow her and her friend, who were allegedly in a situation where they were in a position where they could not move properly, made their way up the steps when they could barely stand. That wouldn't make sense. So the question is, who done it? Who carried her up the stairs? Who allowed Jessica to get carried up the stairs and in a position where they could be, let's say, even looked at in some way, shape, or fashion? You know what I mean? And that doesn't really make sense to me. How did they get up those stairs? That's a very inquisitive situation. How did she make it up those stairs? Now, this is no longer a case because medical records show that she was violated. It shows that against her will, and there was even speak of their damage inside the room where she was allegedly violated, which means she was fighting back. So she was conscious to a point. She was fighting off whoever allegedly did it. So that means she's seen a face, and it really doesn't make two and two. It really makes no sense. So if I'm looking at it in this way, that means that she was conscious enough to know she didn't want to do stuff. But you got to remember, even if the comment that Charlamagne allegedly said that was made in one of his brilliant idiot videos, talking again, saying that someone said allegedly that, oh, I'm glad if it was my first time it was with you. At least it was with you. And she was questioning whether other people were involved. I'm not saying that multiple people weren't involved, but the crazy part is, how did they get up into a room if they were allegedly dazed and out of it? Now, even presuming nothing was in their drinks, she said that she didn't have the power to do some things that, you know what I mean, she normally does, which was walk, which was communicate, these little things. So communicating by kicking and punching back would have been the only way. So the room was damaged. She allegedly was upstairs. My thing is this: if she went with someone who was of guardian age, regardless of you doing something or not, you're responsible. You picked her up from her house. You drove her to a location. That puts you in full responsibility, whether or not you were entertained in the situation, whether or not you left. And that's the problem with maturity. At the least, you were attracted by bad decisions and immaturity. In my opinion, the best thing for you to do was not even take her, not even pick her up. If you were trusted that much by the parent, why'd you allow something like that to happen? which means if you were going to go somewhere, she should have left with you. It's all simple mathematics. There's not a deep picture to be had here. She was somewhere, she was violated. Who was she leaving with when she was fine and at her house? And where did she end up and with whom? That's all. If you admit that she ended up in your presence and it was you two, whether or not you were actually involved in the situation directly, you're still responsible for what happened to her. So responsibility and remorse are two crucial points that we really don't see in this story from anyone involved, anyone who may have been involved in it. If you don't have remorse or responsibility for it, you should have never been hanging with this girl. And my thing is, how did she get up to the room? Did she walk up there? What, she leapt up there? Her and her friend thought going upstairs was a smart idea to get away, because we know when she speaks about her getting away from the situation, they went outside and sat on the curb after working their way down the steps and holding on to each other. I don't think they would have walked and held on to each other trying to get upstairs to where a bedroom was. It doesn't make any sense. So this whole situation doesn't seem savory. I don't like the way it sounds, and I feel like even if you wasn't involved, it's your responsibility as a mogul, as someone I even looked up to at one point, to stand up and make some type of gesture to who actually did this. This isn't a murder. This isn't a crime where, you know, it's no code to this. It's no code to violating humanity. It's no code to violating another human being. That has never been. Even with murder and things of that sort, because no one deserves those type of things to gratify themselves off of. What are we speaking about? What are we doing here? We're continually breaking down each other when all the things I've heard from you over the time, and when I say you, I'm talking about the mogul Charlamagne, who allegedly was involved in this situation. Everything I heard was all about growth, support. Matter of fact, thinking of how you supported other artists, you made me say, yo, if I ever get out there, I'm a support artist with the same mindset as he had. Like, that's why I'm so frustrated, because I put a lot of, let's say, accolades in my mind towards such a mogul, but it's like destroying someone's childhood when they grew up off of watching you. That's my only thing. I grew up off of course I had stronger figures, way stronger figures, but you're one of the people who, before this instance, I would have considered a strong figure, but now I can't even give you those type of accolades and respect. It's like, if you can't stand up at a moment when it's mostly needed, and then I hear shows of you joking about certain things that pertain to the situation, it goes somewhere else. It leads to another type of character. Again, I told you in an earlier video that even though I had stuff that I did, I never joked about those type of things, or when I was in a situation where they wanted me to. Like, I'm talking about they wanted me to. I even said no, because I know what's right and wrong. So my question is, do you understand right from wrong? Can you at least stand up? There's other stuff I heard you say that you would tell on if you were in a situation. Can you stand up and talk about this and tell on who was involved in this situation, whether they're family or not? Because you were in charge of these people at one given point in time. And I don't want to see nothing happen to him losing anything, because I don't want to see that. And you could call me biased, because he, honestly, in our time, is a symbol of what the black culture allegedly is, whatever it would be considered by the masses. So to me, it's like, is this where the black culture is at? Is this what we're standing for? Is this what we support? And I mean, you got a lot of artists sitting there with you, interrogating them. And my only criticism is when you play the hypocrite role, like you did for the Dallas, Texas rapper I did a video about. Like, you can't say any comments to him when you're facing a situation. How can you give him donkey of the day in a wet manner that could easily pertain to your situation, to more than allege you in a crime, if they played it that way? And I mean, if HBO swings by this, don't do that to him. Don't do that to him. He worked hard for what he earned. It's just a situation that I didn't think he would make the decisions he made in it. And it really does break someone's heart, because when you're sitting here playing the black role model and you're not putting everything out there like other people do, you know what I mean? They're not hiding anything. They tell stories from the past and everything. They let you know what they did when they did it. I pretty much heard everything from A to Z through most objective and right-standing moguls, and they admitted they'd never do something like this. You know what I mean? Because they worked on their game and they stayed true to who they were. And it's an inspiration to me, but you can't be an inspiration anymore if you're going to play that role. You can't be that type of role. You want to be that role, then I have to choose a different person that I look up to in terms of mainstream media, because that's what you stand for. You stand for the only stance we have in mainstream media that makes communications with all of these rappers, at one point even exposing their evils, to a point of not only satisfaction but gratitude. Like, thank you. There was times I was watching your show like, thank you for calling that out. But now it's like you have something that came up, and you know, I don't know why it came up now. And if anyone knows, like, I also heard a guy saying he knows why this is coming up. No, it's not to attack him or do anything, because we all had faith and respect for who he was. It's just about setting it straight and figuring out how to make things right, because these things aren't a joke. I even made a comment when you joked about doing Xanax, because that's not a joke. We actually got young kids out here overdosing and dying off of it. You know what I mean? I just seen too much and have been around too much for your media for you to just pass this over. Can we get this straight? Can we make some sort of agreement to agree? All rights reserved.